All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. Thanks for Tamara joining me live, and the rest of you who are going to watch this later on. We are going to begin. So hopefully you can see my screen. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about how to create an effective social, Facebook and Instagram advertising. So what we're going to go through, we're going to talk about, this is the question I get asked all the time. Can I grow my audience without paying for Facebook ads? So I'm going to go through that with you. I'm going to go through the goals of organic posts. What I mean by organic is the normal posts that you post for your feed. That includes your stories and live videos as well. The goals for them, and there's a goal for paid advertising, which we'll go through. Getting started with Facebook ads, I'm going to go through how it will actually start. We're not going to go through the ads manager because today we only have an hour and we're only going to go through the strategy. I always say, people say you always have to be closing when it comes to sale. I always say you have to be strategic because Facebook changes everything all the time. And as small business owners, we need to have a strategy in place as to how to go and tackle that. I'm going to go through 3 phases of Facebook advertising. You've got to go through these phases when it comes to social selling. You will have a little handout that you will get through email as well from Zoe. Will send you the 3 phases in a PDF document that you can have for a reference. And then at the end, we can go for quick Q&A. So I'm going to turn off my video and we're going to begin. So a little bit about me. So I've built and sold 2 service businesses of my own. I've been into the trenches, and I started, the first business was 2001, and I started when I was 1. I currently own a social media marketing agency. We specialize in helping service businesses with social media marketing and advertising, obviously. I'm a digital solution advisor at Business Station, and I love being here and serving small business owners because I've been there. It can get lonely sometimes, and it's so hard sometimes to find a right group of crowds that they can help you, and Business Station provides that for everybody. I'm a coffee lover, so if you're going to catch up for coffee, definitely. Some people call it addiction. I'm okay with eye twitches, and some people might go as far as saying I am hilarious, and that's my mom, and I think it counts. I would love to get social with you. Please get connected with me. I would love to connect with you too. All right, so one of the most common questions, and this could be your question as well sitting there, is can I grow my audience without paying for Facebook ads? The answer is yes, of course. But you still have to exchange something. If not dollars, then it's your time. And obviously the rate which it grows, your audience and your business will grow, will exponentially be slower. And obviously will require much more effort. And if you were to supplement your organic efforts with a paid strategy, I'm not saying there is no one way or another. In my experience, I've been doing the Facebook and Instagram ads since 2018. There is no one way or another. However, from my experience, they work really well together. Since 2020, I don't advertise for any business if we don't have an organic strategy, meaning the organic post in place, because it works really well together to provide the best outcome for the small business. So you can absolutely grow your audience without Facebook ads, but again, it will take time. And at the end of the day, it has become a pay to play, even though their whole goal is to show content that is relevant to their audience. And if you are providing valuable content, your audience are engaging with your content, Facebook still rewards you, but they didn't become a $1 trillion business by providing a free platform for their audience. So there are, however, benefits when it comes to Facebook advertising. They've got 2 things that I believe from my experience, the most powerful targeting that they have, even through everything that people talk about through all the social platforms these days. I still think Facebook is the biggest and is more powerful. Second one is cost efficiency. So the first one is the targeting. So You can target your clients based on demographic, based on their behavior. For example, behavior is they just got engaged, if they just had a baby, if there's a birthday coming up. So based on the behavior as to what's happening, the location, it's a great platform for local business owners to contact and connect with people who are local. Even you can go and target people who just moved in your area from other areas. This is the best way to actually bring in new clients in based on their connection. Again, life events, obviously what's happening in their life at the moment. The next one is cost efficiency, which is the second, to me, is probably one of the most important benefits when it comes to Facebook ads, of being cost effective. When I started my first business back in 2001, I really, really, really wished it was an air conditioning business, and I really wished I had this. The reason being, I was against, as a small business, it was always about whoever has money, whoever has more funding could advertise. There was no way I could afford to do radio. There was no way I could afford doing TV. Even for TV, some people were actually opting in to advertise after midnight because it was cheaper. But then again, not a lot of people watching. So watching TV after midnight, actually don't remember now, everyone's on social, so I don't know if they were watching TV after midnight, but it was just so hard. It was all about, there was no level playing ground. So now it is, you don't have to spend, you don't have to have Apple budget or Coca-Cola budget, you can have your own budget and you can still advertise, you can still reach your ideal audience and local audience who's going to buy from you. So it is still a cheapest, lowest cost per 1,000 impression in advertising history. What I mean by 1,000 impression, by how many times people are actually seeing your ads. It doesn't, it is important because it takes for us to see some ads a couple of times before we take the next action. And the good thing about it is you can actually, you have analytics that we didn't have when it comes to newspapers and yellow pages. They were so hard for them to have analytics exactly how these platforms have. So WordStream, they've done a study. So they analyzed hundreds of clients' accounts to calculate the average cost per click and the cost per action. And the cost per action, I meant like taking the next step, either booking time or lead or organizing quotes. So they've compared Facebook in 18 different industries. They found that the average across all business types was $1.72 per click, meaning that they see an ad, they click. That doesn't mean they're going to convert. $1.72 per click. In some cases that I had cheaper as well, and in some cases was about $2 in my experience, but $1.72 is the average, and $18.68 per conversion. Compare when it was compared with Google advertising, which was $56.11. There are different platforms, but they are still, so Facebook ads were 3 times more efficient and much cheaper as well to actually run. And when it comes to small business owners, these numbers matter. It is important. That doesn't mean that you should not consider Google ads if it's a right time for your business. But I still believe that Facebook advertising is still more effective. Again, when the right time comes, absolutely look into the Google ads as well. But the cost is 3 times cheaper. There are still those that if you have been doing advertising, you must be thinking, hang on a second, Neda, but they're actually very expensive for me. I never had $17 or $18. I've never had $1.72 per click. There are factors that influence your Facebook ads cost. It's not just because creating ads alone, it's very simple. It's very self-explanatory that Facebook will put, it's a step-by-step. The Facebook will actually allow you to take this step-by-step. They even now, they only ask you to just provide different, for example, set of headings, different set of bodies and different set of graphics and videos, and they will decide based on their audiences. That's how they optimize it. The only problem is you won't know which ad works really well, which graphic and which creative works well. These are the reasons, in my experience, these 7 reasons has been the biggest when the ad cost is really expensive when it comes to your advertising using Facebook and Instagram. And it's probably even if you're doing LinkedIn or TikTok, any advertising. The biggest thing is lack of strategy and goal. We have no idea why we're advertising. We are sometimes, we're looking at something, we're creating some, we have a graphic that it works really well to create brand awareness, but we actually want to sell. We use it to conversion, which absolutely doesn't work. It actually doesn't work. There has to be a strategy behind it, and you have to be very specific. What are you trying to achieve? Who are you trying to reach? So that's when it comes to the wrong audience. Sometimes we think, I've got to tell you, it's so hard, and I could tell you 100% not possible to sell to cold audiences. We're going to go through the audience temperature later on. So wrong audiences, meaning we don't turn up to Facebook and Instagram to buy. We turn out to Facebook and Instagram to hang out with our friends, hang out with our family, see what's going on, and also find out what's the businesses that we love and businesses we trust, how they're doing. So that's where it comes to wrong audience, because we go sometimes selling and go for conversion to the cold audiences, which it doesn't work. So another one, the offer is not compelling. Sometimes we go to a cold audience or even warm and sometimes hot audiences, and we provide this offer, and so we create this offer that is actually not compelling. It's nothing interesting and it's nothing exciting for people to take the next step. Another one is messaging. So sometimes, again, we use some messaging that is really good for maybe brand awareness, and we're hoping that we can convert to sale. Ad placement and bidding method is another one. The platform itself is very sophisticated. It knows exactly, we as Facebook users, I don't know if you are a Facebook user, but users give so much signal to Facebook, and they know so much about us. They know when we're on the platform, they know how long, they know how many times it will take for us to take the next action. They know where we hang out the most. They know which either Facebook or Instagram we actually make our purchases. So ad placement and bidding, we do not need to be clever. There is no way we can be as clever as the algorithm. So when we're trying to be smart, sometimes it works against us. Last but not least, I've left that to the last, after click process. I'll call it after click process, but it's actually sales process. Do you have a plan when someone sends you a message? Let's say we'll put an ad out and they send you a Facebook Messenger ad or Instagram DM. Do you have a plan? Do you have a process to nurture these people? You got to remember, not everybody is ready to buy, even if it's a lead generation. Sometimes they have questions. Sometimes they might not be ready today, but that doesn't mean they're not ready next week. So we have to have a processes, nurturing process, whatever you want to call it, sales process in place, that from the moment they get in contact with us, which is the hardest part, the moment they get in contact with us and ask us a question, do we have a plan? Or do we just simply, that I've seen so often that we clients have done an ad and they said they haven't converted, but when someone asks them a question, all they do is they've got the standard set of reply as to, here's the link, go and check it out yourself. We never had any processes or nurture sequence in place to nurture those people to come back, to want to ask us again, and just guide them in the direction that when they're ready, they can buy from you. Again, when I say when they're ready, that doesn't mean they're going to buy from us, but we will do our best to serve them right. So when they are ready, where they're going to go, they love dealing with you. You answer this question, and they're happy to buy from you. So this, been, in my experience, is one of the biggest factors that advertising cost in Facebook is expensive. So what I always believe is you need to combine your organic strategy with a good paid strategy. So it is so important. Neither of those alone will work. They work really well together. So now let's talk about goals for organic posts and paid posts. Every single post you create, you must have a goal behind it. It's either going to build your brand, it's either going to show you who you are. Are they in consideration stages? They're still thinking about it. They might have some questions. What are you trying to achieve with the post? So again, the question, should you do any Facebook advertising if it comes to, because you got to when it comes to Facebook advertising. So should business owners forget about organic reach because it's really low? The answer is no. I want you to consider when it comes to, they're both important. So I want you to consider this, and the reason why, because every single post again you do has a goal. So there are goals for organic posts. You build awareness, consideration. And one of the biggest things that I look for as an advertiser on that platform, we use organic posts to determine which content are performing well, which content generates engagement. Then we use that particular post, or we use that couple of posts, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be one. We use that for our lead generation because we've tested it and we know the business's audience resonates well with those posts. So you also find that are you actually creating right content for your audience? Because if they're not engaging with you, it's a good chance that you're not actually resonating with your audience. And that's not a good thing, because this platform works with engagement, which is your biggest matrix that you've got to look for. And if they're not engaging with you, that means that the content you're providing, it's not a valuable content. So we use that. If it works really well, we use that to reach more audiences. So you might be asking, hang on a second, if you're saying it's done really well and it's organically doing well, why are you using that for your advertising? Why would you do that? You've got to remember, at some point you have invested in this post. You spend time, you spend money or resources. Money, I mean, if you had resources that you employ someone to create those posts. And it's not just that post, it'd be your time. If you are a solopreneur, it's your time, and maybe you're paying monthly Canva. So it is, why wouldn't you want to reach more audiences? Why wouldn't you want for people to know that you are actually there and you can help them? So that's why we use that. You use those content to increase awareness, to increase consideration, to increase conversion. So these are the goals for the Facebook for the paid advertising. So we have goals for the excuse me. Excuse me. So you have goals for your organic posts, which are normal posts that you are posting it yourself, or you have a VA or you have a staff who do it, and you have goals for the paid advertising. And we have to be very specific. When you're going in to do advertising, you have to say, what is this ad supposed to achieve? Are we trying to build an awareness, which it should be continuously, because that's your top of the funnel. We're going to go through it in a second. Consideration, we're targeting people who already know about business. They already know what services you provide, because we want some sort of commitment. And then the close, which is your conversion. So you always have to have a goal. You always have to have a strategy in place. Before we go to the next session, your paid ads must always achieve a positive return on ad spend. And what I mean by positive, I don't necessarily mean for them to buy from you straight away. It could be brand awareness. Your positive return could be creating an engagement. Your positive return on investment could be, even if it's vanity matrix, could be increasing your followers with with the post and amazing value that you post on your platform. So you always have to have a positive return on ad spend, and I don't necessarily mean monetary. So again, it could be website traffic. It could be that you want to build your authority as sending people to your blog post. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to create any lead in that moment. Even though I always recommend for that blog post, you always have a call to action at the end of that blog post, being email addresses or anything, but it always have to have positive return on your ad spend. All right, let's get started with Facebook ads. So before we go any further, I want you to look into the ads policy. This is very, very important. Facebook ads policy is one of the most important things. If you are using Facebook for advertising, I definitely recommend for you to get familiar with, just quickly, I'm gonna put that in there, with the ads policy. The thing with ads policy is they never ever send you a notification that they have updated their ads policy. But the reason I think it is very important is because I want you, no thanks, I don't want the reason is because sometimes we can use, I want you to think about before you, when you're creating the content of even your organic posts, because even if you decide it does really well, we want to boost to increase our reach into our local area for engagement and brand awareness. The moment you create a post and you want to make it into ad, it has to fit into this policy. So they do have a policy on everything. They explain exactly what they need. And sometimes if your ad doesn't get approved, we always come back in here. But there are so many things that they talk about as to what things you can advertise, or majority of time you cannot advertise. So it's very, very important for you to be very familiar with what you actually, with the Facebook ads policy. Or in my opinion, it is their platform and they're on that platform, and at any time, and it's been in some cases, especially with since the COVID has happened, they've got some restrictions with the with US elections as well. So they've got so many restrictions, and in some cases they absolutely cancel the account, and it's so hard for you to get in touch with Facebook support. Sometimes it's non-existent when it comes to Facebook support. So it's very important for you to become familiar with the Facebook policy. And again, they don't update you saying, yeah, we have updated the policy. So I'm just going to put that in the comment section. So this is very important. Another code is Facebook Pixel, which is a code that you can put on the header, similar to the Tag Manager. It's very important to tracking what's happening on your website and how many people you actually bringing in from your social platform. With the ISO 14 and 15, there has been some changes. However, still you can track where they land. So I would 100% recommend to consider Facebook Pixel as part of your strategy, because it's good for retargeting, and you can track what's happening when you are creating a post. Do actually people land? Do actually people go to your link? Before we go further, actually, Zuckerberg, as Facebook CEO, mentioned in January this year that they will not send from your organic post. If you're sharing a blog post, they want people to stay on the platform. So they will not, if you are putting link and you're hoping people press that link without paying for ads, if you're hoping people press on that link to land on your website, the reach is going to be really low. Paying is very different. If you're doing a lead ad, that's very different, but try to create, I know it's got nothing to do with advertising, but try to create content that it is Facebook friendly, let's say, and people are still hanging out. Because if you are putting a link to send people somewhere else, they don't like it. So these are the things that we need to consider before we go ahead, before we actually thinking about advertising. We absolutely need to make sure that we have these two in place. So one of the things that I see, I find when people go to amplify a post or hit that boost button, that sometimes they're not thinking or paying attention about the overall objective. You cannot believe, if you've been into any of my training, I cannot stop saying your goals and strategy is important. So I've seen it so often that people just go ahead and amplify. They want to create an ad, or they just hit that boost button without a goal as to what are they trying to accomplish. Because sometimes they're putting a post out that might be a branding post or brand awareness post and expect a sale. I have to tell you, not all Facebook ads are created equally. You've got to be paying attention as to what every ad you want or you want it to do. My biggest tip, if you're sitting here and you're watching this, and my biggest tip to you when it comes to Facebook advertising or any of social advertising, we're talking about Facebook and Instagram, is I want you to slow down. I want you to slow down. The most time must be spent on strategy. What are you trying to achieve? What is the goal? Do we have a nurturing sequence in place? I know that Facebook ads are like this shiny object, and there are people out there who tell you, I made this much money selling my courses, I made this much money doing this by Facebook ads. I know that it is a shiny object that people just want to jump in, and because they feel like the success is on the other side of that publish button. However, I want to caution you that jumping in haphazardly without any goals, without any plan, won't always give you the result that you expect. So it's so important. Success of your Facebook ads depends on answering these questions. So remember I said slow down. So I want you to answer these questions. What am I trying to achieve? Am I trying to achieve awareness? Am I trying to achieve consideration? Am I trying to achieve conversion? So you've got to ask these questions. Second question is, what is my budget to spend on the ads? This is so important. And that comes down to if you have been in the business or if you're brand new. So if you are an existing business, then you and you are generating revenue, then what you're paying clients, you've got to remember what you're paying clients worth to you to acquire them. Then you decide on how much you're happy to spend per lead. That, for example, out of the 10 leads, maybe 2 of them you convert. You divide that, the whole money you paid for that 10 leads, you divide that by 2 because you converted 2 people, and then you can decide as to how much you can afford and you're willing to spend on your ads. If you are a startup, I've got to tell you, so that's if you're just starting out and you say, well, I haven't got any clients that I'm going to go advertising, but I don't know how much to spend. There are 2 ways. When you're starting out, there's always 2 ways to pay, with your time or with money. So always you have to pay, and time is money too, I guess that's what people talk about. So I really want you to take into account, when you decide to run a Facebook ad campaign, think, do I have the budget to put into serving up ads faster, to get the data, to make decision, or to generate lead? Or am I a bit more time wealthy and my budget is a little bit tight? So maybe if that's the case, what I would suggest for you to do is, if you're starting out and your budget is low and you have more time, this means that I want you to spend more time creating organic posts. So getting the result through creating engaging content, either your live videos. So what it does is you actually creating posts, and through that and through the boosting, if you are performing really well, then we can go and say, okay, I've tried this. It's been 9 months. I'm providing valuable content. I know exactly through my effort. I'm posting 5 times a week. There is engagement. I've got stories every day. I'm going live video every week. So I have the data in the background. I know which one does really well. Then you can spend money on Facebook advertising and amplify that. So it all depends on your business and on your situation, but somehow you have to pay. It's either time or it's money. The last one that I want you to ask is, do I have a rock solid after-click or sales process in place? Again, whether it be a physical products, online products or service, we need to make sure that before we run Facebook ads, we have a rock solid sales process in place. Because if you don't know how to convert your lead, how to nurture your lead, how to nurture when people are asking you a question, if you don't know, if you don't have any processes in place, is what's going to happen is we're going to have a really, really expensive hobby of giving Facebook money for not the results that your business or you're expecting. And trust me when I say that, they don't need enough. They don't need a lot of money. Okay, they already have money. I'd rather for that money to be in your pocket. So it's very important for us to answer those questions, these 3 questions, before you take the next step. All right, so I'm going to go through the 3 phases of Facebook advertising. You must understand, you have to go through these phases. If you think you can straight away sell to your audience who'd have no idea who you are, it will never work, my friend. So there are 3 phases when it comes to Facebook advertising, and it's exactly the same in your ads manager as well, called awareness, consideration, and conversion. It's the same thing. You might have seen it as a funnel. So it's an awareness, consideration, and conversion. So, and what it does is it actually, from the advertising point of view, it follows audience temperature. So you might have heard the temperature part of it. So let's go through them one by one. There's an awareness, which some people call it top of the funnel or tofu. So in the awareness stage, people are either completely unfamiliar with your brand or unaware that they have a pain point that needs to be solved. You can go as deep as you can, but from your business point of view, I want you to think this is where the top of the funnel for your business is going to be people who are not aware of your brand, they're not aware of your business, and they're not aware of your services. So that is your awareness. That's your awareness stages. That's your top of the funnel. And what we call them cold audiences. It means the audiences that they have no idea who you are. So who are your cold audiences? Cold audiences can be your served audiences, saved audiences. So what I mean by saved audience, you know that when you go to the ads manager and when you are creating an ad, there is an audience section. So you go with demographics, sometimes it's male, female, this age, they're interested in this, they like this Facebook page. So that is your cold audience. That's your saved audiences from Facebook. They could be lookalike audiences. So lookalike audiences, if you already have a database of people actually buying from you, those people know you, or they don't necessarily have to bought from you. There could be people who just downloaded your PDF or lead magnet. So they are custom audiences. You can load those custom audiences into Facebook Ads Manager in the audience section. And then what we do is we tell Facebook, this is the audience that interacts with us. I want you to go and create lookalike audiences of the people that have similar attribution to this list. And that's called lookalike audiences, but they're still called audiences because they don't know you. And we get that from your website visitors. We get that from the video views, your email list. So that's where the lookalike audiences come from. All right, so now we've gone through the awareness. Let's go through the consideration. So consideration in particular is a stage where people are either familiar with your product or business or recognize that they have a pain point and they are searching options to solve their current problem or challenge. I just want to be clear, this again does not mean that they are going to buy or they're ready to buy. We don't yet expect anyone to purchase anything when we run the ads. When we run ads in the consideration, meaning that they're sort of aware of our business, they're sort of aware of what service or products we're providing, but they might not be ready to buy from us. So we don't expect them to buy. We just in a consideration stage because they're doing researching. They might need more information. I'm going to go through the phases and some example of what we use for advertising. So we call them warm audiences because, well, from a temperature point of view, they're warm, so they're sort of familiar with us. So what are warm audiences? These audiences have engaged with your Facebook page, with your Instagram page. They've viewed your video, so it's a video view. They, for example, they watch 25% of it, 50% of it, and if they've done more than 50%, they're definitely good. They visited your website, they landed on your blog post, they've read your blog post. Remember those codes I was telling you about, the Facebook Pixel and your tag manager, obviously Google Tag Manager. This is why it's important because we can retarget them. They already know about you, so it's easier to have a conversation with them. So the next one is the conversion. And this is a stage that everyone, when it comes to advertising, we always think conversion. However, advertising starts from the awareness, top of the funnel. They don't have to buy. We have no expectation of them buying. That is still advertising. But when it comes, most of us, most consumers think when it comes to advertising, this is the stage we're talking about. So the conversion stage is the most trickiest stage to master. But those who get the hang of it can drive big results for the businesses. So these people are familiar. In this stage, they've already gone through the funnel. People are familiar with your brand. They're familiar with your business. They know exactly what you're offering. And this is the low-hanging fruits are. They're ready to buy. So we call them hot audiences. We've already nurtured them to bring them here. So who are your hot audiences? They definitely visited your website. They visited your landing page. Sometimes they visited the specific service in your page. They've interacted with your lead form. For example, they've opted in with your freebie. They asked for a quote. So these are warm audience. These are hot audiences. They've opted with your lead magnet. You've already nurtured them with your email. They're in your email list. So this is hot audiences. This is much, much easier for us to sell to, but it's one of the trickiest one when it comes to advertising. So when you're advertising to your warm audiences, there are three critical components that I want you to think about. The quality of your targeting, that's so important. You have to make sure the ads that you're creating for conversion, it's not for cold audiences. So you've got to be very careful as to the quality of your audience and your targeting and who you're selecting. I never recommend to have sales for the saved audiences. You just have to make sure that quality of targeting is right. Quality of your ads, you've got to know who you're targeting. You've got to know, hopefully you segmented your audiences, and the quality of ads is so important, meaning you are presenting the right offer to the right audience. And the ability to track the right results. So it's so important. And I've got to tell you, it takes a lot of time. No one can tell you something works and something doesn't. Every business is different. Every audience is different. All we know is we cannot sell to cold audiences. However, though, it comes with testing. Never be afraid to try it because it's so good. The good thing about Facebook is it lets you test. And then you see the result and you realize did that work? Maybe I need to change my graphic. Maybe it wasn't the video. Maybe it wasn't communicated properly. So it's very important. And I can tell you when you're starting out, first of all, you've got to buy data. I call it donation period, which you donate money to get the data. But it does fail. Your ads will fail because you're learning, especially when you're starting and there's not a lot of data behind it. Your ad will fail. You might think it's failing. You might think it's not giving you what you need. But if you're on top of your results and you know exactly what you want and you play with your audience as to, okay, was this good? Wasn't this good? And you test it, you will absolutely get there. But if anyone says that they can get it right straight away, it just doesn't work, because we create in one campaign, sometimes we create 2 or 3 ads, and in those ads we create 2 or 3 different ad sets. So we separate the audience. You just got to remember, it is tricky, but I want you to try it, because when it works really well. So there you go, the 3 phases of Facebook advertising, and you'll have to go through these phases. You cannot miss. You cannot have a conversion ad to your cold audiences. It doesn't work. So I'm going to go through the ad strategy example for cold audience, warm audience, and hot audience. You will get a copy of this. I'll show you in a second what copy you will get. So there are some examples of cold audiences. The objective is reach, engagement, and video view. Objective, what I mean by it's the goal of your ad. The audience are interest-based, behavior-based, life events, lookalike audiences, because we're going for cold audiences. And the content, educational, entertaining, and inspirational. We're not selling anything. Even entertaining and inspirational works really well, because that's just brand awareness. We're not asking for anything. All we're saying is, hey, we're here, we're part of a community, we give you value. That's all we do. The next one is warm audiences. Again, so objectives are different. You can go for lead generation, message or call, phone call. You can absolutely go for that. Traffic, website, and blog works really well, because you build momentum and you build those data in the back end. The audience engage with your Facebook and Instagram. You can absolutely advertise to people who engage with your Facebook and Instagram page. Video viewers, they're very important, and website visitors. These are your audience that you want to go back and be in front of them. Because sometimes when they land on your website, and especially for e-commerce, and they click some buttons, that doesn't mean they don't want to buy from you. Sometimes phone rings, life happens, and they leave. So that doesn't mean they're not ready to buy from you. That's where the retargeting works really well. The content, products, and service benefit, solutions that your offer is a solution to what they need. Testimonials in that stage works really well, because they might be ready, but they're still doing some research. The next one is your hot audiences. So this is definitely we're going to sell, because they've already been through our funnel. They already know who we are. You already provided so much value for them. We're going to ask for a sale. Landing page visitors, there are your hot audiences, because they already landed on your landing page. They've already clicked the button. They're on your landing page. They've either been on your lead magnet, they're giving, and your email list. So the content we use, special deals, depending on your business, limited offers, book a call. We do go straight on asking for people to book us a call. If you're a consultant, if you coach, service-based business, we absolutely go for it and buy. This is something that we ask, because we have been with that audience right through from the cold to the warm and to the hot, and we ask them. Again, that doesn't mean they're gonna buy, but we never stop. We always go back to them. If they don't buy, they don't book a call, they haven't done anything, then it's absolutely fine. No one said they're ready now. So we go back to the warm audience, we create educational posts, we put more blog posts in front of them until they're ready to take the next step and buy from you. So there you go, my friend. This is it. That's the 3 phases and strategy for Facebook advertising. What you're going to get is, Tamara, and for those of you who are going to watch that later on, you are going to get this sent to you. So there's the 3 phase of Facebook ads, exactly the same thing we talked about. So we'll go through the temperatures and some information. These are just an example that I would like you to trial and test. But you got to remember the temperature, your audience's temperature, because that's one of the most important things to consider. And there's always going to be those 3 phases. We cannot miss a step when it comes to Facebook ads. We've got to go through it. The certain content for the cold audience, certain content for the warm audience, and certain content for your hot audience. And you can absolutely ask your audience to buy when they're hot audiences. All right, back to you, Tamara. Do you have any questions?
Sorry, I was talking when it was muted.
That's okay.
I haven't heard of Facebook Pixel before, so can you go through that and teach me how to put that on? How do I work with it?
So what you're going to do, there is a step-by-step. So if you look at the chat, I'll put a link in the, I'm going to put the link, but there is a step-by-step that you're going to take. Yeah. Have you got Google Tag Manager as well?
No.
Okay, so that's something else that definitely, I'll send you the link now. So these are the little snippets of code that you put on the header of your website, and it just tracks traffic. And the reason it's important is because you can do retargeting. So that's the link for Facebook Pixel. Oh, hang on, I'm going to share my screen so you see. Sorry, I thought I would always forget this. Okay, so this is a Facebook Pixel. It is a step-by-step that you got to follow. It is simple. Do you have control over your website?
I'm just getting it worked on at the moment. I can do it a little bit myself. I can't do a lot myself, but I do have all the access to it to be able to do it.
Perfect. So go through that website. It is a step-by-step. You can email them the code. So you can email them the code and it just goes on the header. They know, as a web developer, they're absolutely aware of the Facebook Pixel and Tag Manager. Obviously, Tag Manager's got nothing to do with Facebook. Tag Manager's got everything to do with Google. So it's very important to have both codes on there. So what happens is when you're running ads, for example, if you're doing blog posts and what is your business, Tamara?
Uniquely Balanced. I'm in Margaret River and I'm an energetic therapist and sound massage practitioner. So it's a very niche market.
Okay, that's all right. That's okay. So if you are writing blogs and you want to send people to your blogs, this is what we want people to be coming to your website. So that snippet actually helps to tell you when you're sending people traffic to your website, it will tell you if there was a traffic. And what you can do is from those codes, then you can create a retargeting Facebook ads. So the majority of time that Facebook ad doesn't work, it's because we only go for the cold audience when we forget to bring them back. So that code will help us to retarget them. You know how sometimes you search something on Google and then it appears on Facebook?
Yeah.
That's what's happening, because Google, they communicate well together. So you can use Google Tag to find out what people are searching, and you can just do an ad for people who are searching for this, and it appears on Facebook. So we don't know who you are, but we know that there was this IP address in the back end. The only time me as an advertiser, I find out who this person is only when they send me a message or they call me. Before that, all I know is the IP address. That's all I know.
And this works the same for Instagram?
Yes, absolutely.
And if Facebook Pixel gives Instagram information as well?
Yeah, because Facebook is on, Instagram is owned by Facebook anyway. So when you're creating an ad, everything is from Business Manager, Ads Manager, and Facebook anyway. So all that information is with Facebook. So yeah, no, everything happens. Sometimes it has been, like I've got audiences that they're not on Instagram. I've got customers who are not on Instagram. But we do let Facebook decide. Sometimes I have seen it, they've shown an ad in Instagram because it is owned by them, but everything gets tracked on that code in your event manager.
It's amazing.
It is. It's really good. It takes time. It absolutely takes time. And I can guarantee you it will fail when you start, because algorithm needs to have those information. Because you're just buying data. It learns about what interacts with you, who lands on your website and then come back again, who clicks and goes to your website. It knows all of that, and it learns. When you're starting out, it learns. Might cost a bit more money, but eventually it will pay off. So don't, and you're not going to break it. As long as you follow their rules, like make sure that you follow their policy. And I always say, as long as, like, in my opinion, I love marketing and I love advertising, and I've been always fascinated by selling, but I've never liked to use it to misguide and mislead people. I don't want to use it to do an unethical thing, but if I can help someone, why not? But you can absolutely use that to help people that you can, because there's no other tomorrow.
And when we're starting out, since it's going to be a learning tool, we're going to fail, we're going to spend a bit before we see a result. Are we best to actually employ someone to create our ads and do everything for us to get that reach happening quicker?
Absolutely. I do think yes, but one of the things I like is, like, I've got an ad agency, but I love it when my customers already played with the Facebook ads. Like they understand the Facebook pixel, they understand the temperature, because it's so easy. There's a lot of people out there who can talk shit, I guess.
A lot of people. Those who know the least talk the most.
It is possible that they promise the world, but it is a process. It takes a long time. It takes time. It takes effort. But from the brand awareness point of view, you're more than welcome to do it yourself, because all you're doing is you're building your brand. You're bringing people to your website. If you're doing blog posts, they work really well. So you're doing that before you get to the lead generation. You still have to go through these processes. And I think for you to try to test and practice, brand awareness or consideration stages are perfect. It's a good start. And when you're ready, definitely hand it over to someone who can absolutely do that for you. Because there's so much happens. There's so many things to consider. I do this since 2018, and I don't think I ever called myself a guru or expert, because at the moment I'm struggling to get to the help desk. Because it's crazy. All I want is to merge my clients' pages together. Do you think I can find help desk? Like
getting help's impossible. It's so hard.
It's a $1 trillion business. And all I'm asking is put $1 billion into your support. That's all I'm asking.
There's no support. My husband lost his Facebook page recently, and he couldn't actually even give them his ID to get back on again. He tried submitting it 3 times. They wouldn't accept it. So we ended up closing it down and starting again. Yeah. And I'm like, if that ever happened to your business, it is devastating.
It is.
His was a personal page, but yeah, if it was to happen to your business, it would be really devastating.
It would be, absolutely. They said this year, though, they're going to invest in help desk, and they're going to invest. So, and the thing I've noticed so I don't know, even before their hours work with US hours, so I always had to be up about 2 o'clock in the morning to be able to have a chat with them. But at least I was happy. I could actually chat with them.
Yeah, and in a quiet house. No one else is after your attention at that time of day.
I know. But at the moment, I'm struggling. I just want to merge 2 pages together, and we just can't. We've tried it, and all I want is someone to tell us yes or no. That's all we want. But we can't find anyone. So
show you the magic button.
I know. But I don't know if because they're going through the changes. But
yeah. And price-wise, what would you be price-wise to do an advertising campaign? Do you work on do I budget, or?
I actually work per performance. So I personally, when it comes to Facebook advertising, I don't charge retainer. So for example, lead is different, content view is different. The prices are different. I don't charge retainer. I only charge when I make when I get the result. That's all I do. But everyone's different. Everyone's different. Some people have retainers. Starts from, depending on if you want to go to Upwork or Fiverr, starts from $500, $750 per month, up to $10,000. So it all depends what you need. For me, I don't like retainer because it puts pressure on the customers, it puts pressure on me. I only charge per performance. So.
And how do I go about engaging you when I'm at the stage I'm wanting to get someone to pay for my ad?
Of course. I sent you the, do I have your email tonight?
Hopefully, I'll put it in the chat for you.
Okay, perfect. I'll send you my address, and then you can absolutely, when you're ready, and we can absolutely talk.
Great.
All right. I've got your email. I'll send you an email with my link and but yeah, when you're ready. So how many sessions do you have at the moment? Are you part of the digital solution? So you're seeing Victoria?
Yes, I'm seeing Victoria. I'm seeing her on the 23rd. So yes, looking forward to that.
Perfect. That's good. How many sessions have you had?
She'll be my first. I went last week to some seminars at in Busselton, and they were just fantastic. I loved it. So I'm trying now to implement what I'm learning.
That's good.
But I'm like learning a lot very quickly. So I'm wanting to actually start, put it out there, see some rewards.
Yes, good. That's good. Just hang in there. It works. She's really good. She's Victoria's really good.
Oh, she's lovely. She's such a lovely person. Yeah.
She is. And she's close to you guys too anyway. So
yeah.
It's handy to have a good social media expert around.
Yeah, definitely. She's very helpful. So I'm looking forward to my next meeting with her.
That's good. That's really good. All right, Tamara, if you don't have any questions, I just have to
That's all. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.